Meet Ian, the adventurer behind the YouTube channel Ian on YouTube. His videos offer viewers a raw and unfiltered glimpse into his life. From breathtaking hikes through nature to the harsh reality of sleeping in his car, Ian invites his audience into experiences few would dare to share. But one night, in the pursuit of compelling content, he found himself confronting the very real dangers of his own city. The day began peacefully with a hike. But when night fell, the atmosphere changed. After finishing a late shift at work, Ian decided to take on a risky challenge for his subscribers to survive a night in what he described as a very, very, very bad area.
So I just got out of work, and what a day I had. I got a couple stories to share with you guys. This is a very, very, very bad area. If you look right now, this is where we are. There's a liquor store here that's closed. There is another liquor store here. And if you go around the corner, there's another liquor store right there.
At 2 a.m., the city felt almost abandoned. The streets were lined with shuttered businesses, the air thick with unease. As Ian drove through the dimly lit roads, he couldn't ignore the feeling that eyes might be on him. This area was notorious. Constant foot traffic and the presence of unpredictable, sometimes hostile characters made it clear this was no place to let his guard down.
I'm starting to get pretty sketched out. My city's pretty ghetto. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this probably isn't the best idea. There's a lot of foot traffic, a lot of interesting characters.
His goal was simple: find a spot to survive the night without incident. But every option felt dangerous. A filthy alleyway, a shadowed side street. Each potential camping spot carried its own risks, amplifying his growing anxiety.
Camp here. There's no way. There's just so much bad going on. I've just been sitting here kind of observing for a second, seeing what's going on, and there's no way I survived the night out here without getting a broken window or something. This is insane. No, definitely not this dirty alleyway. I can't believe how bad my city has gotten. It was relatively nice before when I was a kid, but now it's just an absolute dump. And it's really sad to see like the city you grew up in just turn into like
Finally, he chose a supermarket parking lot. It wasn't perfect, but it offered at least a small sense of safety amid the chaos. Settling in, Ian tried to create some normalcy by preparing a grilled cheese sandwich in the back of his car. The smell of butter sizzling on the pan, the simplicity of the moment, stood in eerie contrast to the hostile energy just outside his locked doors.
But I'm gonna give it my best shot. And we are going to see if I can make a grilled cheese sandwich in the back of my car. This is the strangest thing I've ever done in my entire life, bro. Got out of work, I went on a hike, I'm here in a parking lot at 2 a.m. making grilled cheese in the back of my Kia Forte.
That click of the lock was more than a precaution. It was a fragile barrier between Ian and the dangers of the night. Every sound beyond his window became amplified. Footsteps, distant voices, the occasional car creeping past. Though no direct confrontation ever came, the dread was constant. The fear wasn't of the unknown like in a forest. It was of something far more unsettling, the unpredictability of other people. The hours dragged on, every moment tense. Ian didn't rest. Not really. The unease of being surrounded by desperate strangers in a dangerous part of the city left him wired, alert, and painfully aware of his vulnerability. By morning, he emerged unscathed. But the experience had left its mark. Ian's story serves as a chilling reminder. Sometimes the most frightening place to spend the night isn't a haunted forest or an abandoned building. It's the city itself after everyone else has gone to sleep. This is Dan, a well-known YouTuber you might recognize from his channel Cursed Urban Dan. For nearly 5 years, he's taken viewers along on his outdoor journeys, ranging from peaceful camping trips to chilling explorations of the unknown. Fearless and determined, Dan has always embraced the thrill of the wilderness. But on this particular night, he would face something unlike anything he had ever encountered, a real-life nightmare that would stay with him forever. It was November 18th, 2024. A cold winter evening perfect for Dan's latest adventure. His chosen destination was the ominously named Forest of Sorrow, a place steeped in unsettling legend. Locals whisper of strange rituals, ghostly apparitions and unlucky travelers who entered never to return. It's the kind of place most would avoid after dark. Yet Dan ventured in alone, determined to capture its haunting beauty on camera. After arriving, he parked his car, set up camp, and decided to take a short evening walk through the forest.
All right, back onto the trail. So, man, it's getting dark. I've had to open up my aperture all the way now. I'm about to have to start bumping up the ISO on the camera. And I am getting hungry.
As night fell, he returned to his campsite, built a fire, and roasted marshmallows, enjoying a rare moment of calm. But the stillness didn't last.
You gotta be kidding me. Dude, I just heard a scream. Dude, that was that scream again. Who's speaking? That was that scream again. Dude.
A scream tore through the silence, echoing across the trees. Dan froze, realizing he was not alone. His unease grew, but curiosity pushed him forward. Hoping for answers, he pulled out his spirit talker to see if he could make contact with whatever might be out there. Almost instantly, the forest fell deathly quiet again.
What I'm going to do is I am going to put out this fire to the best of my ability. And probably take a quick trip down the trail.
Later, restless and uneasy, Dan decided to take one last walk before heading to bed. That's when he heard it.
Yo! What was that? What the... Dude, that sounded powerful. That sounded like something big is
a loud snapping sound from the trail ahead. He stopped listening, trying to convince himself it was nothing. But then it came again, louder this time. Something large was moving through the trees. A chill ran down his spine.
Oh, what the Something just seems off tonight. Or right now. And I don't know. Sorry guys, I know I'm rambling and just like kind of carrying on right now, but it's just this is like just raw. This is like how I'm feeling right now. Like, I don't know, maybe I should go back to the safety of my campsite.
Sensing danger, Dan turned back toward camp, unaware that his instincts had just saved him.
I just saw a light. I saw a light. Dude.
As he neared his campsite, a flicker of light caught his eye, a flashlight beam. At first, he thought little of it, but his relief quickly turned to dread when he realized the light was coming directly from his tent. Panicked, Dan hurried back only to find his tent wide open. Someone had been inside. Thankfully, he'd kept his valuables with him, but the violation left him shaken.
I think I got it on film. Wait. And I didn't have this chair over here. This chair is closer to my tent. And dude, my tent is open. What the No, dude, my tent was not. No, my tent was not open when I left here. That chair was over by the tent, and the tent was not open.
Unsure what to do, he debated leaving, but ultimately chose to stay, reassuring himself that the worst had passed. For a while, all was quiet. He even updated his viewers, saying nothing unusual had happened since the earlier scare. But peace was not what awaited him.
Were they looking for that? Why would somebody be here? And why would somebody just take off if they were here? There was somebody just by my camp, looking around with a light right by where this boot is, and somebody opened my tent.
Just as he began to drift off to sleep, he was jolted awake by the crunch of footsteps. They grew louder, closer, heading straight toward his tent. His pulse quickened. Was this the same person who had been snooping around earlier? The steps stopped right beside him. Then a beam of light pierced through the fabric of his tent, pointing directly at him. Heart racing, Dan switched off his own light and froze. Summoning every ounce of courage, he called out into the darkness.
There's somebody outside. There's somebody outside. Hello? Who's out here? Who's out here? Answer me, who is out here?
For a tense moment, there was silence. Then, the figure retreated, vanishing into the woods without a word. Shaken and unwilling to risk another encounter, Dan packed up his gear and left the forest immediately. The next day, he reported the incident to the rangers, hoping to prevent others from facing the same danger. Though he escaped unharmed, the experience left him deeply unsettled, because while ghosts and legends are frightening in their own right, nothing is more chilling than the thought of a stranger lurking in the dark, someone whose intentions may be far worse than any spirit. Meet the creator behind Love Sundays, a van-dwelling YouTuber who chases freedom on the road, finds peace in stealth camping, and shares the honest highs and lows of life in a van. Her channel celebrates solitude and simple routines. But one seemingly ordinary trip turned into a nightmare that exposed just how unpredictable solo travel can be.
I am parked on the side of a road. I have parked across from a bit of a clearing. After last week's video where I had a little bit of aggro, I decided this week I'm just going to come out in the middle of nowhere so that I can have a little bit of downtime. And looking at it, it looks fine at the moment, but as soon as the sun starts to go down, I think it might get a little bit creepy around here.
She arrived at a remote clearing after a stressful day, a perfect little patch of quiet to recharge in daylight. Everything felt safe, a place to park, slow cook, a lamb stew, and breathe. Still, she couldn't shake a faint unease, the kind you get when a place looks different under the sun than it might under nightfall. She shrugged it off and wandered into the nearby trees, trusting the stew to simmer away while she soaked up the woods. When dusk fell, the air shifted.
Food to slowly cook away. I think I'll be a bit of a wuss if I don't actually go for a wander in the woods when the sun's down. I'm not gonna lie, This is a little bit freaky. And you'd think the lights would make it better, but it doesn't. It just... What was that? Sorry, I got freaked out then. It just makes all eyes be on you. So if there's anything in here, there's only going to be animals and things, but you just don't know, do you? Angry badger or something, but it just might jump out on me. But anyway, I'm going to head back to the van like a coward.
The peaceful exploration that had felt grounding by day took on an edge she couldn't ignore. Memories of films like Blair Witch crawled into her head, amplifying every shadow. Vulnerable and uncomfortable with the encroaching darkness, she returned to the van to eat and try to sleep. Then a car pulled up outside.
It's just pulled up, and it sounds like they're walking around the van.
So I was just woken up because I heard a car pull up, and it was at the front of the van. So I got up, turned my phone on and filmed, and as soon as I drew the curtains back, they drove off. They got to the end of the road, turned around, and then came back and parked behind the van. I don't even know, like, what they just think that there's just some random van parked here that they might be able to break into, or I don't know, but it's a little bit freaky. It makes me kind of like, I'm not moving, but I don't want somebody breaking in thinking there's no one in here, because that would be a right pain.
At first, it drove off, a small relief, but moments later, it came back and parked directly behind her van. The engine cut. Silence swallowed the clearing. Curtains drawn. She watched the taillights through slats of fabric and felt the hair on her arms stand up. Who had stopped? Why here? And what did they want? Against her better judgment, she managed to sleep in fits and starts, praying the strangers would leave. Morning brought a far worse discovery.
What the actual... See that? I don't even think I can shut the door on it. So when I said I got left alone last night, it doesn't look like I did get left alone, does it? I didn't even hear anyone out on the side door. Right, I've got to work out how to do this. I don't think I've got any pliers. Tell you what, it's a good job I haven't got a bulkhead. There we go. Oh, it's miserable out here. How dangerous is that, locking someone in their van?
The van door wouldn't open. Panic bubbled up when she realized someone had cinched cable ties around the handle from the outside. She'd been trapped in her own home overnight. A closer look revealed even more chilling signs. Fingerprints smeared on the fuel cap. Someone had been fiddling with her diesel, and the cable ties suddenly made a cruel kind of sense. They hadn't been casual visitors. They'd planned to keep her from interfering while they tried to siphon fuel, or worse. The quiet clearing was not a random rest stop that night. It had been a targeted predatory stop. What began as a peaceful solo evening became a stark reminder that the road can be dangerous in ways you don't expect. For van dwellers and stealth campers, the wilderness isn't the only threat. Sometimes the most dangerous moments come from people who know how to hide in plain sight. Meet Natasha, the creator behind the channel Quest Out West. Living in her Dodge Grand Caravan with her 3 cats, She documents her nomadic life and inspires her viewers to face their fears and embrace adventure. But one night, during what was supposed to be a simple search for a remote campsite, Natasha would find herself confronting real terror pushed far beyond her comfort zone. It began in Squamish, British Columbia. Natasha set off down a service road, her GPS promising a secluded spot for the night. At first, she was excited, but as the road grew narrower and more dangerous, her nerves began to fray.
Nervous because we seem to be driving out a lot further than this is a pretty narrow road, quite bumpy, and I'm not sure what this...
On one side, a sheer cliff dropped off just inches from her tires. With no space to turn back, she realized she was committed to whatever lay ahead. Soon, she reached a fork.
Warning, road deactivated. My God, use extreme caution. Oh my God. Okay, no, I don't know, man. Okay, and the car is like literally slipping backwards.
One sign pointed toward a campground, the safer option. The other warned that the road ahead was deactivated. As she debated, another vehicle confidently took the forbidden path. Against her better judgment, Natasha followed. It was a decision she immediately regretted. Her van's tires slipped on the steep incline, the vehicle beginning to roll backward toward the edge. Heart pounding, she stopped before disaster struck and pulled into a small turnout with a stunning view, but beauty quickly gave way to dread.
I'm concerned that in the middle of the night that we're gonna accidentally roll down the hill or something. Or maybe even just get hit by somebody else coming down this road. Would not be good. Is that a crashed plane? I don't think it's a plane, but it might be a crashed RV. Somebody that actually did go off this edge. So, it's an authentic fear.
Below the cliff, she spotted what looked like the wreckage of a vehicle that hadn't been as fortunate. And then came the sound. From deep within the woods, an eerie, otherworldly noise echoed. Something Natasha could only compare to the predator from the movies.
Do you hear that? Is that supposed to be a bird?
She froze. Was it a bird or something else? As she unpacked, the fear deepened. Every item she removed from the van felt like it slowed her chance of escape. If whatever was making that sound stepped out of the shadows.
Becoming increasingly more vulnerable as I take stuff out of the van. It's not like I could just slam the door shut and take off, because I gotta put all this stuff back in the van. And then I'm hearing this weird-ass sound from the woods.
By nightfall, the forest was alive with movement. Every rustle, every snapping twig sent her into a panic. The feeling of being watched became unbearable. Finally, she gave in to her instincts, hastily repacking and fleeing the area. But her nightmare wasn't over.
So, finish my food and then shove everything back in the van. Now it's getting pretty dark. And I really just want to get out of here. I don't want to sleep here for the night. I'm just too creeped out. Every single little noise that I heard, I was like, oh my God, what is that? Is that a bear? I just can't.
On the dark highway, headlights appeared in her mirror. A truck. At first, it seemed ordinary until it closed in, tailgating aggressively with its high beams blinding her. The driver's behavior grew increasingly threatening, swerving and nearly forcing her off the road when she tried to pull over. Natasha's escape from the forest had turned into a terrifying confrontation with a human predator.
A truck starts driving behind me, really right up on my butt, like tailgating me, and with his high beams on or whatever, and he's doing it on purpose. And I'm going like 85 in a 90. It's not like I'm going too slow. I'm just going too slow for him. And I saw a turnoff for a lookout, but he was right on my ass. I couldn't even slow down. So he almost ran me off the road, and there was nothing else I could do.
Shaken and exhausted, she eventually found refuge in the familiar safety of a Walmart parking lot. What began as a quest for peace in nature had spiraled into a multi-layered nightmare. The strange sounds in the woods had left her unsettled. But the most terrifying danger came not from the forest, but from another driver on the open road. It's a chilling reminder. Sometimes the scariest part of an adventure isn't nature itself. It's the people you meet along the way.